What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, and we're back to conclude the 2023 Breathing Room album by True August. Thank you once again to Sofia for providing this excellent record, as well as to General Puffball, who's been providing a lot of comments and opinions on the tunes as we've gone through them. And the final track on the record is Buried on Mars, which certainly suggests an extraplanetary setting. I wonder how this might function as a metaphor or figurative meaning. Maybe it's giving us a literal visual backdrop of Mars, and we are in the age of Martian exploration, meaning there are human probes on Mars that are continuing to send back data. But I consider a literal meaning here to be less likely, and maybe the idea of breathing room or space or something that is as empty as Mars, maybe, becoming cluttered with human artifacts and so on. So yeah, even then I don't know what that would mean on some emotional or figurative level, but I'll do my best to follow. This is True August. The track is Buried on Mars, and it's the last song on the excellent album Breathing Room 2023. That's crazy. Sonically, that's really dynamic and complex, and a great ending to a top shelf album. And so yeah, like the lead in, the outro, and the verses have this very quirky, plotting, and a bit extraterrestrial sound, a bit dissonant, a bit weird and wicked. The chorus has a bit fuller and more dynamic of a sound, but I like the balance and contrast of the way it goes back and forth like that, as well as that two-tone melody rhythm, which again gives it a bit of a quirky feel and a bit of an alien sound. We definitely have references to, under the stars, buried on Mars, far away. So there is this like extraterrestrial visual conceptual framing, but I feel like it's within the context of talking about time. And I think very early on he says like past and future are right next to each other, and then something about how like he's in between the two, which, in a literal sense, it's like what I just said, that's now in the past, and what I'm about to say is just in front of us in the future, and the present is like this ephemeral, does it even really exist? Because the moment I've said something and I've done something, it's already in the past. And so like I think it is getting at this question of time. He is also saying that like the things he's done or the people he's known, eventually he's going to forget them all someday. So he's talking about the future in which what he's doing in the present and what he's done in the past and the people he's known, the interactions he's had, they're all going to sort of wash away. And whether that's because of his own mind or just because of the passage of time and our finite biological natures, it is seemingly looking at time and maybe using faraway places like Mars as a metaphor or an analogy to talk about the distance, the breathing room in time. But he's also talking about like a woman's eyes, I think, and how like there's more there or something. Like I didn't know how to take those lines, and I don't think I heard them clearly. But yes, I think it's another one where he's referencing another person specifically, but maybe as a way to get at some of these larger issues. Either way, I enjoyed his vocals, and the sonic configuration here, really dynamic, really compelling. I mean, there was like bass that almost sounded like contrabass, kind of like stand-up bass in this extraterrestrial, quirky, jazzy kind of way, but there was also this electric, gritty sort of layer, which I didn't know if that was a guitar chord, maybe with some effects on it, or whether it was an electronic layer, but definitely a really cool arrangement of sonics. And as I said, I like the chronology and the sequencing of the tune. So a really, really compelling conclusion to an excellent album. And again, kudos to Augie for creating an album that you can tell he has a musical background. You can tell he probably came from a musical family, which, of course, those of us who follow Aha and Savoy will be well aware of, but also staking out his own territory, because even though there's one or two tracks at the beginning of the album that I was thinking, oh, I could kind of hear this as being a Savoy song, by the time we've gotten to the end of it, it's its own thing. It's not Aha, it's not Savoy, it's something which has creativity maybe on the level of his dad, but is not something that I think his dad would have made. So yeah, a really compelling journey. Do let me know what you think, and Luca and I will see you for the next one. Peace.